This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what you need to know today. Bagrat Galstanyan, the Archbishop turned protest leader, rallied his supporters today in front of Armenia's Human Rights Defender's office in downtown Yerevan, demanding a meeting with Anahit Manasyan, the head of the agency, to discuss police officers' alleged disproportionate use of force to quell the anti-government protests that erupted last month. In response, a spokesperson for Manasyan signaled she was ready to meet with Galstanyan, but insisted talks should be held behind closed doors without reporters present. Galstanyan rejected those conditions, saying he would only meet with Manasyan in an open and transparent setting. After several hours, Galstanyan and his followers ended their sit-in in front of the Human Rights Defender's office without meeting with Manasyan, and marched to Yerevan's St. Anna Church, which has emerged as a sort of headquarters for the demonstrators. Today's protest in front of the Human Rights Defender's office marked the latest in a string of rallies where Galstanyan has gathered his supporters outside government offices to demand public meetings with senior officials. Since last week, Armenia's interior minister, top diplomat, police chief, and investigations head have all refused offers for public meetings with Galstanyan. One of those rallies, held last Friday in front of the Foreign Ministry building, turned violent, leaving at least 7 police officers and an unknown number of protesters injured. Nearly 30 demonstrators were detained in the immediate aftermath. Since those clashes, Galstanyan and his supporters, as well as a number of prominent Armenian civil society groups, have escalated their demands for an independent probe into alleged police brutality. Videos posted to social media since last month appear to show numerous instances of law enforcement using disproportionate force to subdue protesters, though as of now, no officers have been charged with a crime. The protesters are calling for Nikol Pashinyan's immediate resignation as prime minister. Galstanyan, who also holds a Canadian passport, has indicated his desire to take over as prime minister, though the constitution bars dual citizens from high office. In regional news, Armenia's top diplomat today called on Turkey to implement a landmark agreement reached nearly 2 years ago to partially reopen the two countries' long-shuttered border, saying Ankara should resist pressure by an unnamed third party seeking to scupper the deal. "We have a broad mutual understanding on a number of issues regarding the normalization of relations with Turkey. The time has come to see the agreements implemented on the ground. It is our expectation that Turkey will start to implement the agreements," Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan told lawmakers. In July 2022, Armenia and Turkey agreed to open their land border to citizens of third countries at the earliest date possible, marking the biggest breakthrough in normalization efforts in at least a decade. But nearly 2 years on, the border remains closed. In addition, Mirzoyan told lawmakers today he does not believe Armenia's constitution poses an obstacle in ongoing efforts to reach a normalization deal with Azerbaijan, directly contradicting senior Azerbaijani officials who have repeatedly demanded Armenia overhaul its constitution as a precondition for any peace agreement. "We are convinced that both our constitution and theirs cannot legally present problems for the establishment of long-term peace. Changing our constitution or changing theirs is not on the agenda of Armenia-Azerbaijan negotiations," Mirzoyan stressed. Earlier this year, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev demanded Armenia remove references to Nagorno-Karabakh and the Armenian genocide from its constitution before a peace deal can be signed. For his part, Pashinyan then signaled his openness to changing Armenia's constitution, but without specifying what he would change and why. There were no immediate reactions from Ankara or Baku to Mirzoyan's comments. And in defense news, the head of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, a Russian-led military bloc, said yesterday he expects Armenia to explain itself, months after Pashinyan indicated he had frozen Armenia's membership in the alliance. "We hope Armenia's political leadership will clarify the prospects for their relations with the CSTO," Imangali Tasmagambietov was quoted as saying by Russia's TASS news agency. Still, Tasmagambietov stressed, the main mechanisms of cooperation are functioning, Armenia remains a full member of the organization, and all of our obligations toward the country remain in full force. There was no immediate reaction from Yerevan to the remarks. Earlier this year, Pashinyan confirmed he had already in effect frozen Armenia's membership in the CSTO and signaled he would be willing to pull out of the alliance altogether if his concerns over the bloc's commitment to Armenia's security go unaddressed. Those remarks quickly sparked outrage in Russia, where officials warned Armenia's current geopolitical course could ultimately cause irreparable damage to our relations. Since Azerbaijan launched an unprecedented 2-day attack on Armenia in September 2022, relations between Armenia and Russia have worsened sharply, with anger and frustration mounting in Yerevan over what is seen as Moscow's unwillingness or inability to come to Armenia's defense in line with its treaty obligations. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 21. That is the number of centimeters by which Lake Sevan's water levels rose over the past month, according to figures made public today by Levon Azizyan, a senior official at Armenia's Environment Ministry. That is the highest one-month change in Sevan's water levels recorded in the past 8 years. Over the last few weeks, Armenia has been inundated by unusually strong rainstorms, which has also led to historic flooding across the northern part of the country. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.